Yeah, I think it's safe to say the white media is not going to treat this the same way they would if the victims were black. The Pike County massacre has now been revealed to involve an enormous illegal drug operation. Perhaps we should start calling it the Pike County cartel. I'm waiting to see if anyone in the white media will call the deceased drug dealers. Somehow, I think not. If not the teenagers, then certainly the adults deserve the title. You grow illegal marijuana in multiple locations, take great pains to avoid law enforcement, as the Ohio State Attorney General said, and yet not one white reporter, not one white blogger, not one white anchor calls any of them drug dealers, even though that's exactly what they were. And I'm sure that if these were black people, they'd be just as discreet about it, right? In my last video, I told you, nobody was asking if the deceased were involved in drugs. Nobody's asking if they had criminal ties. Even now, with a large-scale illegal marijuana operation right in front of them, at multiple locations, the white media still isn't asking any questions about the victims. The Associated Press filed a lawsuit to find out if Trayvon Martin had a criminal record. Of course he didn't, but I don't see the white media filing any lawsuits here to find out the criminal records of the deceased. So, when the victim is black, we need to dig up dirt on them. When they're white, and the dirt comes to the surface on its own, they're just going to ignore it. And I suspect this is just the tip of the iceberg. Make no mistake, more dirt will surface about this family, and it will be all but ignored by the white media. For the white media, it's not about and has never been about reporting the news or finding the truth. Their mission is to forward whatever narrative serves white power. Nobody mass slaughters a group of people like this without a heavy motive. But whereas the white media attempts to frame even the pettiest of crimes in the black neighborhoods as being cultural, when bigger crimes happen in the white community, they're very careful not to ask what's going on in the white community, in white people's homes. Where are the white fathers? Why don't they care about education? How many unwed white mothers were in this family of drug dealers? Why are they so lacking in moral character that they chose to sell illicit narcotics? At least 8 people murdered, drugs involved, in fact a large-scale illegal drug operation, and nobody has yet asked any questions about the victims. Yep, white privilege is hard at work, treating the white victims as if they were, well, victims. Even though it's indisputable that this family was the Pike County drug cartel, they're being protected. Forget about asking tough questions. The white media is all but announcing that they're not going to ask any questions. In fact, they haven't even started with their sappy profiles of the victims yet. Perhaps they already know some things about the victims that they'd prefer the public not be exposed to. The white media won't ask how many people's lives these drug dealers have destroyed, how many people they've gotten addicted to drugs, how many they've helped to stay addicted, how many laws they've broken, what officials they may have paid off, who they may have hurt to maintain their illegal drug operation. Nobody seems interested in why the killers chose these people. But to be honest, nobody cared about the 5 victims in Pittsburgh either. They were black, and that was the story. Now, for all the Euroclowns and their well-wishers who have a problem with me demanding information about the victims' criminal backgrounds and not giving a rip about the killers, tell me, where was your outrage at when the white media did the exact same thing to Trayvon Martin, Eric Garner, Michael Brown, Tamir Rice, and countless others? Eric Garner was accused of selling loose cigarettes, and that justified his being murdered. So why does it bother you now that people who were running a major illegal drug operation are being treated the same way? Trying to manufacture a criminal link to the deaths of black people, or at least trying to make some past brush with the law the story is fine by you, but not when the shoe's on the other foot? Get out of here. The white media has set the rules of the game. There's no point in whining about it now. And another thing for you Euroclowns, I will continue to follow this story. As the white media attempts to bury it so as to help the white community save face, I'll be doing my part to ensure that someone's asking the tough questions about white culture that the white media simply won't ask.